petition went to JP Schutz. We didn't really thank Carol. So we've invited her to come to the meeting tonight to thank her and to give her a certificate. 5.6 is the resolution. So what I'd like to ask is that I will read the resolution. So we've invited her, and then we will we'll pass it, and then we'll give Carol a certificate and thank her, and everyone can have the opportunity to thank her. So this is the resolution. Resolution of the village board to recognize village historian Carol Weiss for exemplary service from 2006 to 2012. Resolved that the board of trustees gratefully acknowledges the contributions of village historian from 2006 to 2012 to publicly appreciate Nyack's unique origins of development as a historic Hudson River community. Carol did a lot of work. She was on WRCR with Wynn doing some radio around how important Nyack is and the historical nature of it. So Carol, thank you so much for your service, and we would like to just give you also apologize that it took us almost 10 years to do this, so our fault. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Please.
When I was village historian, I asked a couple times if the village would pay for a membership in the New York State Association of Public Historians, and they refused. It was $35 a year at that point. I think it's something that should be considered for the village historian.
Okay. Yeah, let's look into that. Can we look into that and see what it is? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Carol. And again, apologies that it took us 9 years to do that. Should have been done way sooner. Thank you for allowing me to move the agenda. We're now at the adoption of minutes from June 29th. I need a motion in a second.
So moved. Second.
I'm sure everyone's had an opportunity to review them. Are there any questions, clarifications needed? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We will now our next action will be to continue our public hearing on the cell tower construction proposal. And then if we have any, we will have obviously one person giving us their thoughts. And then once we're done hearing it, we'll close the public hearing. Then we'll go to resolutions, okay? Because it's one of the resolutions. Give us your name and who you are.
Good evening. My name is David Kenny. I'm an attorney with Snyder and Snyder. We're representing Homeland Towers and connecting with this application for wireless telecommunications facility. A little backstory: we met with the board back in March when we first presented this project to the board. This is an application for a 140-foot tall wireless telecommunications tower at 230 Route 59. This property is actually located in the town of Clarkstown, but it's owned by the village of Nyack. We've been working in the past with the town of Clarkstown to try to find a location to fill a significant gap in service for Verizon's network. There are also some other carriers we know have a gap in this area of the town as well. And the town couldn't find a property on their own property rolls for us to pursue. But they were able to work with the village of Nyack and find this property at the water department property. So we have a proposal here for a 140-foot tower that will fill the gap in services for Verizon Wireless. It'll also provide co-location space for additional carriers. The action before the board tonight is to adopt a negative declaration with respect to SECRA, approve the lease, and also do what is known as a Monroe balancing test. This is a test that allows zoning to be waived in this unique circumstance where the village owns property, but it's located in another zoning jurisdiction. We've coordinated with the town of Clarkstown, and they're in full support of the village of Nyack taking this process and approving the lease for the tower. But we're here tonight to answer any questions the board may have and the public may have.
Thank you. Any let's get public comments and then if the board has any questions, so we can go to that. Any other public comment on the cell tower resolution?
Hi, Joe Carlin, just a quick, what is the benefit to the village in terms of income? Is there any
Yes, we will rent the tower, the space on the. We're renting the tower, so everything that goes on there, every different carrier that goes on there, the village will end up getting additional funds.
Do you have any idea on which
No, we don't only have an idea, we have the exact number, but I'm not sure what it is.
It's around $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Anticipated within a few years as they lease out space to the carriers that are most likely to be there. The lease is structured as the more carriers located on the pole, the more money the village gets as a portion of those rent payments.
so it could be above 30,000 or is it
If more carriers go on, it will be over
the existing carriers that are planned to be on it would be about 30 a year.
30 to 40.
Myself. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions from the board of our attorney or of the attorney from the firm? We have gone over this a number of times, but we still may have questions.
Yeah, I just kind of have questions about that, and we can just, I don't really understand what that means.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's have.
Yes.
The negative declaration sounds bad. When you hear negative,
Yeah,
the connotation is bad. Well, it's the opposite under the State Environmental Quality Review Act or SECRA. What a negative declaration means is by adopting it, you, the board, are determining that there will be no, again, I repeat, no potential for significant adverse environmental impacts. So again, no potential for significant adverse environmental impacts. Positive declaration, positive is the opposite. Means that there will be potential for significant adverse environmental.
And we'll be basing our determination on.
Eve Bancuso, a village engineer, has sent us a report recommending it that would be appropriate for us to adopt the negative declaration. She submitted part 3 of the SECRA environmental assessment form, and part 2 as well, she completed, in which is a long list of the potential environmental impacts. And on all of them, she checked off either small or moderate. And based upon that, I don't know how many were moderate, but based upon that, it was her expert opinion that there would be no potential for significant adverse environment. In fact, she also reviewed the submissions from the applicant to Homeland Towers, reviewed their part 1, the SECRA environmental assessment form comes in 3 parts. Part 1 is completed by the applicant. Parts 2 and 3 are completed by the municipality, and usually it's by the village or town engineer or environmental expert or some other technical expert or consultant. In this case, Eve Bancuso, the village engineer. And so she also reviewed all the plans and determined, and she submitted it in writing, that she found that a negative declaration would be required.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Is there anything else? So you know that I reviewed the lease. And there is a final execution copy that I circulated. And that is the one I'll put on the record, Mayor Hammond, I'll put on the record that the final execution copy, which I've sent around a couple of times, including to the Homeland Towers team, that is the one that you would be approving tonight. Anything else would have to come back here to be reconsidered, but the final execution copy, I've determined to be the final execution copy,
Is the one we're voting.
is the one you're voting.
Okay, so that's 2 of the 3 things. The other thing is this. I feel like we're in Monroe Doctrine.
Balance.
Yeah.
But that gives us, that makes us able to do this with the town of Clarkstown's permission, because it's in their jurisdiction. So they've given us the jurisdiction, so all three of those pieces are. Anything else? Anything?
Is also, you're also resolving in the resolution by adopting the Monroe, the County Monroe case principle. The main gist of it is that because it's a municipal land, you are essentially exempt from zoning. So you're exempt from the town of Clarkstown zoning and the village of Nyack for that matter, which would really apply because it's outside the village. I don't know if Manny, you've already discussed it in the resolution, the town of Clarkstown, however, will retain the permitting process. So, and help me out, David, I don't believe the applicant will be required to go before any land use boards, but you still will be required to get a building permit and a certificate of occupancy ultimately from the town of Clarkstown, correct?
Correct. The town of Clarkstown issues building permits for the water department use on this property. So since they're already issuing permits for this property, they're going to retain the permit.
Okay.
But that's just for building permits and CO.
But,
Sounds good.
but no land use board reviews, no zoning.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. That's, well, no, that was very.
No, I
thorough.
appreciate
think
that.
everything-
Yeah.
That's very thorough. Okay, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we will now move to public comment on any of our action items. So you'll have another shot at the
There was another public hearing.
starts at 8.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Actually looked up to see what time it was. So we're now at our action item time. So action, we'll have public comment on any of the action items. I'll just go over them real quickly. We have 10 of them. One of them we've already done. Our resolution to accept our audited voucher summary. A resolution to accept the 2023 annual report and of our MS4 report and reporting requirements. A resolution to approve the submission of a grant application for mapping of the MS4 system. A resolution for the board to schedule a parking authority meeting for August 10th. Our next resolution is for us to authorize the implementation of funding of the first instance of the federal aid and state Mark Chiselli program aid eligible costs of the transportation federal aid project. What this basically is that we need to reapportion one of our safe routes to school grants and put money in different categories than they are now, so that we can actually, because we had to buy the land back from people, so we have to move some money around. So all that big words and stuff, that's basically what we're doing. Right, so and that's a really long one. The next one was to thank Carol. Our next is to approve a permit application for events for Morgana again in Memorial Park on July 22nd, which is this Saturday. And next is for us to for the Homeland Towers, which is also a very long one. I think the lawyers earned their money on this resolution. And the next is for us to approve a permit application for a street closure for Fifth Avenue for July 22nd for a block party. The 10th is for a permit for a street closure on South Franklin for Oktoberfest in September 30th. And the last, I believe the last, is for us to authorize the issuance of a bond. This is basically for us to repay back the loan, the emergency loan that we took out to repair the water department break out by the big break. Remember when we lost water in the village for a week or so? Where this is to pay back that loan. And that will all be handled. We have to pass the resolution because we have the fiduciary responsibility, where it will all be handled through the water department process. And then there is a 12th one. Is for us to this is for us to add additional members to the Nyack Business Council to review the Nyack Tourism Grant application. So any comments or questions about any of our resolutions? That's you. Okay. I wasn't the only one. All right, so let's start moving through them. So I need a motion in a second for us to adopt the audited voucher summary. So moved.
Second.
Joe motion, second from Pascal. Any questions of Jen? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Resolution for us to accept the 2023 annual report with the MS4 reporting requirements. Let's get a motion in a second, get it on the table.
Motion.
Second. Motion from Pascal, second from Joe. Are there any questions of Andy on this? We do this every year. It's what we've done with our MS4 system.
That's what we talked about last meeting.
We did, I think,
Yes.
because we were talking about the grant we're applying for mapping.
Yeah.
So,
This is a report that we have to submit to the state the county, I think it is every year.
for folks who might be listening, have no idea what MS4 refers to. It's basically our stormwater drainage system. And state law makes the village responsible for water quality in it. So we're running the street sweeper and keeping catch basins clean and so on. That's part of our compliance regime. And having it properly mapped is a big part of that responsibility.
Any other questions? All in favor?
I,
Opposed, motion carried. The next one is for us to submit a grant for the mapping. Let's get it on the table and then see if we have any questions. Need a motion in a second. So moved.
second.
Let's go with Donna that time. Pascal, you were like a hair late.
We'll do a photo finish.
Any questions on this? This is for us to map our MS4 system. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. It will cost $10 for me to sign though, just so you know, I'm starting to get sign fees for my. Our next one is for us to schedule our parking authority meeting at 7 o'clock on August 10th.
Second. Is this a regular scheduled meeting or is this a?
We're doing them quarterly. We're trying to do them quarterly. This is, I think, a special one because we're reviewing the fresh market, the 1 hour free parking. And we'll get a report on that and
Nyack Hospital.
the Nyack Hospital is also coming to talk about the parking garage and the use of the garage. We've had a couple of people ask us for an update on that, so we'll be doing a report. And we'll need to make sure that we get that to the folks. We have an email list, right? From the hospital group.
Yes.
So we should make sure we get that announcement to them. Okay, do we have a motion? Yeah, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The 5.5 2023-112 is for this reconfiguring of the grant. It doesn't change the amount of the grant at all. It's just moving the amounts around to make sure that we're complying with state regulations. So let's get a motion in a second, then if Andy needs to explain it.
Second.
Motion from Donna, second from Pascal. Any questions about that? I think it's pretty clear.
Just as a note, if anybody notices, the engineers for this project have been in the village recently on Upper Depew, taking measurements and reviewing their plans and so on. So if you see them around, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that would be an exciting, that will do a lot of sidewalks. All the way up and down to Pew and St. Main Street. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We've done that for Carol. We're motion to approve.
You didn't vote on. No.
You didn't actually vote that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
we didn't get a motion in a second, then we didn't vote on it.
you didn't do motion.
Okay, motion in a second. Need a motion. I'm sorry.
Motion,
Motion
second.
from Donna, second from Pascal and from Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carol. We forgot that. See, we forgot again.
It's now formal. The resolution is, you can now cash that certificate.
That's right. Now you can
Bank.
print it. Okay, so now we are at the resolution to approve the event for Morgana in Memorial Park on July 22nd from 5 to 9. Need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Second from Joe, motion from Pascal. This is basically a similar event that she had once before. That went very well. The only thing she's not doing, I don't think she's doing a drum circle this time.
That's less than hour.
No, I think it's the same.
About the
4 hours.
same, 4 hours, which is kind of a cap.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We are now at the resolution so that David can go home and have a drink with his wife by 8 o'clock. Right, I told you I'd have you out of here by 8
Thank you, I
o'clock.
appreciate it.
All right, so I need a motion in a second for this resolution.
Second.
Any further questions? More clarification needed.
Just thank you to Dennis and.
Everybody's
Thank you.
Absolutely.
As someone who stopped being a lawyer because of having to deal with things like this, I have total respect and, you know, my power to you all that you do all that. I couldn't handle, I couldn't hack it. It's why I just do the frivolous stuff up here, the hard work of reading contracts.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Dennis, we put you through the ringer on that.
Absolutely. I could not.
So our next resolution is for a street closure on Fifth Avenue on July 22nd, from 9 AM. What, the timing, what's the timing?
Sorry, it's a 9 to 5. This is the Fifth Avenue one.
Yeah, 9 to 5.
9 to 5, yeah.
Let's get a motion in a second and then we'll
Motion.
discuss it. Pascal, second for Donna. Any discussion? The memo should have, I think the resolution, exactly. the memo. And we asked them to notify the neighbors. Remember this.
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This one I think is a new one on me. I don't
It looks
remember
like-
this
Oh,
one.
this is exciting.
This is for it's an application for street closure for South Franklin for an Oktoberfest on September 30th from 10:30 to 6
That is good.
AM to 6 PM.
Mayor, this is it's the local that ran the same event in April.
Okay.
And they're essentially proposing another one,
The same
same
Place,
design,
same
same everything, just a different day.
By all accounts, their event was very successful despite the fact that.
Like they have this.
Okay. Yeah, let's put this on the table. I need a motion to second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? You okay with this? I think it was really a fun event the last time.
Yeah, I think,
There's many problems.
and I will just say as a matter, because it came up in the discussion that we're having as we start to look at the grants, the tourism grants. That I think these kind of micro street closures that are, you know, block, which don't require nearly the same commitment of person power to operate them, the same sort of disruption of the streets. Because it's just one half, in this case, I think it's half a block, I only seen the full block. It's unfortunate that it's a bus route, so the bus route has to that's a little disruptive to the buses. But otherwise, I mean, it is a weekend, so it's not commuting. And it is, and he did a nice job, and it's nice that he's trying to do stuff that, you know. He has a little more time to prepare this time, I think he'll make it more successful. So I'm glad he's doing that.
Yeah, me too. He and Tyrone both advocates for getting events and stuff. And fun stuff in the village. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. We're now at the for us to for bond authorization for the issuance of bond in principal not to exceed 3 million to finance the construction of improvements and to repay the loan that we took out from the state of emergency. Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 12 too. This is to appoint folks to the tourism, to the business council, to include review of the Nyack tourism grant application. I need a motion.
Second.
I was, yeah, we talked about doing just to revise this. I can see it on it's not in the packet I have. I saw it on something else. It's on the agenda, I think. Okay. So we have these terrific, we approached all these people. This was this group of people: Matt Tobin, Hope Wade, Marie Whittingham, Carl Mo, Brianne Higgins, Marcella Mazzio, Terry Clark, Mark Davidoff, and Tony Scotto they were people we wanted for it. We went out to them to try to get them. That was people that I talked to with Don, people I talked to with Andy. Some of them already have been on the council. Some of them have been to a lot of meetings and done a lot of work. They're all, we tried to balance them. We have people who have businesses on Main, on Franklin, on Broadway, different types of businesses between retail and restaurant. There's still one person outstanding, but the one thing I wanted to add to this, so I want to thank them for all being willing to be a part of this. And if we can prove them today, but I did want to add that our resolution did also, when we revised the charter of the business council, also provided for ex officio members, and one of the ex officio members was a designee of the Chamber of Commerce, and the other was a designee of Visit Nyack. Now, I don't think we should put the names in, because I think the point was to give them the opportunity to appoint somebody. They can give us a name, and it can be I think we would approve them the name once they design it, but I think they're designated. But we should say in addition, we're making a request to Visit Nyack and the chamber to designate their ex officio members for the council. To add that sentence to it.
That makes sense to me, yeah. What happened was I read through the resolution that we passed at our last meeting, or the meeting before our last meeting, but we had like a 15-minute meeting the one before that. And we included ex officio members for the mayor's designee and for the village administrator. But we somehow missed the other two, was Visit Nyack and the chamber. So we can add it here and ask it to be put into the charter. And I think that would work fine. We would just add it into the charter. Is that all right as far as the process, or do we need to amend?
Can we just amend this resolution to have this resolution also act as an amendment to the charter?
Sorry, which charter?
The charter, we passed a resolution of the charter of the business council,
Oh, yes, sir.
which is not legislation. That's all just resolution.
So, so you want to amend that,
We want this, we want
just regulations, not the local law.
Right,
not the local law.
it's not a
Yeah,
local
we
law.
can do by resolution, yes.
Okay, so then I would add, I know you like to make sure you get the language, add to this, in addition, resolved to amend the charter of the business council to officially approve two ex officio members designated, one designated by the Chamber of Commerce, the other designated by Visit Nyack. To be designated and then approved.
I know it was word charter.
It's just the word that we use.
No, okay, that's why. And what do we call? I thought we called the rules and procedures or something.
The resolution was adopted on June 29th. It was just a resolution describing the organization of the business council.
Okay, so
It didn't call itself a charter or anything else.
Yeah, charter is just a colloquial way to describe it. So just to amend that resolution, whatever that resolution number is, to add the ex officio members of the Visit Nyack and Chamber of Commerce.
It's okay. Just.
Yeah, it's
Should
amended.
add it up.
You have the resolution number? Right?
Yeah, I do. I think the clerk's got it, so we're good. So we're just,
It's not a, it's just more technical.
Yeah, we just forgot. We didn't compare this mistake.
so I can read it the way it would be, basically.
Right, so let's, since we're gonna amend that resolution, let's do that in a separate motion.
Okay.
So let's pass this resolution appointing these members, and then we'll do the amendment to the resolution that we'll get the number for, okay?
Okay.
So all in favor of, I'm sorry,
I do have a question. Are all of these just the brick and mortar businesses in the village,
As opposed to
like freelance or micro businesses or anybody who?
the business council, its role is really to promote the businesses that do business within Nyack, retail, restaurants. People that, like, one of the things that we did try to do was try to make it more focused on businesses that serve clientele within the village of Nyack, not a business that has, like, I have a consulting business. But I work with clients in Atlanta and Pittsburgh, and that's not a Nyack-based business, even though I live in Nyack and I have a business. So no, these are all, I think every one of these, the idea was to have a brick and mortar presence in Nyack. That was the goal.
They would certainly be welcome to come to the meetings. Anybody from, anyone is welcome.
I mean, the meetings are public, and quite honestly, the reason that we're being very careful about this right now is because we also added to the responsibilities of the business council that they are going to recommend to us for our approval, the tourism grant proposals. And so they have to technically vote on it, but in 2 years, we haven't had a formal vote at the business council. That was at all, everything gets done by consensus generally. So I'm not so much worried about that, and the meetings are generally free flowing, that we don't have, they've all been on Zoom. We're gonna start doing them here in this room in the future. And it's gonna be, we're gonna do it the way we did the other ones, not with people up here, but everybody kind of in the room to talk. So anybody who comes to the meeting is welcome to chime in.
And just so like, because we know that some of the nonprofits also do have events and promote things in the village as well. Will they have a role in this council, or is it just saying?
No, we actually invited somebody who hasn't approved,
They haven't said yes.
they haven't said yes yet. We did ask somebody to be a nonprofit
Oh.
member, and if they don't accept or they don't, then we'll find somebody. If not, we'll say, please come as a designee of the nonprofits, come to the meetings and weigh in and make comment and whatnot, because we want, I mean, basically, Brooke Malloy has been a regular at the meetings and spoken up whenever there was something that was relevant to, and I know Kim Cross has been to a bunch of meetings as well. It's good questions.
You ready to vote? Yeah. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Let's get both of here.
I in favor.
Okay, so motion carried. So now we are amending resolution
Number 2023-107.
2023-107 to include the chamber and Visit Nyack as ex officio members of the business council.
Right.
Designees of the, should you say designees or just that the organizations themselves?
Designees of the organization. It doesn't matter to me, whatever you.
I would say designees just to make sure they have the authority to pick somebody. Because
So the
frankly
designees of
speaking,
the organization.
I mean, there are board members of the chamber who we just approved to be on the business council, and I want to make clear that that's not who we're considering to be the ex officio representative of the chamber.
Yeah, the chamber gets to choose, Visit Nyack gets to choose who they put on.
Yes,
Okay, so that would be the rules. I'll make the motion, and I need a second.
second.
Any further questions?
And any of the chamber or Visit Nyack members, like, will there be overlap with other members? Because I know a lot of people kind of cross different groups. I'm assuming there will be, you want to avoid that.
I believe there are, I mean, what I just said is that there are people on the list are people who are on the board of the chamber.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a small village, so there's gonna be a lot of cross
right, but
pollination.
they won't be able to hold a dual role as both.
No, they won't be able to do both. No, it'll have to be one day.
Oh.
Most likely it will be Tomasz Nyack and Roger Cohen. They'll be the designees, the people who run those organizations.
Okay.
That would be my guess. But I don't want to make their decision for them.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. We are now open to public comment on any item.
Yeah,
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. I know, I'm pretty sure I know your question, but we need to get it on.
Where are we with the vacancy study and the ETPS?
The vacancy study, we are making one more phone call to one landlord. Then we will be ready to tabulate it. We are working on the draft legislation. We will be, our target is to have a public hearing sometime in September. Yes. Public hearing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's right. Yeah, it's actually accurate. All right, so we now, I need a motion in a second to open our public hearing on the proposed amendments for chapter 187 of the code, filming of the code of village.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Opposed, motion carried. We now will accept any comments also on the film. We will probably leave this open and close, and we'll close it at the end of the meeting maybe, and then we can go down next. Because I don't see the one person that wanted to have the most
yeah.
input in. It's not here.
I think the fellow is in, on vacation.
Sorry,
I think he's on vacation. Yeah, I know, I actually pointed it out to him, and he said he'd be sending in, and,
he would send something in writing.
yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. I haven't seen anything from him, but we haven't received anything, have we? All right, so we'll just hold the public hearing open for written comments until the next meeting, and then we'll close it before.
Well,
So that way it'll allow.
You're gonna keep going, you got to keep it open for oral comments as well,
Right, sure.
for all comments.
Well, but we won't have a meeting until, we'll close it at the next meeting. That's what I'm saying.
That's fine, we just have to announce the date, time, and presumed place will be Village Hall. What meeting would that be? Are we gonna do that now?
We can do that right now. It would be the August 10th meeting. I think we will have two other public hearings for that. So why don't we do this one at, we'll do this one at, I'm just trying to find the document. It's got that. Let's do this one at 8. Then we also have one. Why don't we do all three at once?
We're,
What do
we have to have a separate public hearing for each law.
I know, one resolution. Put it all in. Let's just do this
No,
one for 8
what
o'clock.
are the other two? Because I'm worried about timing. It's the 20th, and, you know, you have to publish, public hearing notices and all that. What other two are you thinking of putting on August 10th, other than filming? Continuing?
Did you read, they're in the agenda.
I did see that.
So
I
it's
just want
for
to
the
make sure.
It's for the tree ordinance.
The
and for
tree,
Sign it.
I did prepare a local law that is ready for its close up, but Andy did send a memo saying that you guys may want to talk about this a bit.
Right,
So
so that will come later. So let's forget that I said it. Those are the two things that we're gonna do, but we'll get to that later.
And the
let's
other
do-
one, the signs. I think is it the sign, sorry, I haven't drafted a local law yet, and that will be ready for the sign ordinance.
Okay, so we can't do that.
That's not.
So let's talk about that when we get to the new business, all right? I'm sorry. Let's talk about that. So let's set a public hearing for 8:10 at 8 o'clock to continue the public hearing on film. No,
Can we just, for the record, explain what the public hearing for the film is on? That way we're covering our bases, everyone's here to hear it, it's on.
we will absolutely do that, and let's just pass this first, and then we can talk about what the law is. I was planning on doing that, and I got rushed in, but thank you for doing it. I think I got rushed in. Let's do it now, so. Trying to keep us moving. All right, so public hearing for 8:10 on the, at 8 o'clock. For the film. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We will now go back to the public